oneself. Morning self. Morning self. Hey, spirit. I worked a little bit on my channeling today. Practice makes perfect. I also feel I gotta get through my grief. I'm still crying a lot. I mean, I'm doing better. I think the hardest part for me has been since 2014. I started between 2014 and 2020. I lost my 3 best friends, and then my fiance, and then another friend, 2 more friends. One passed the same day my fiance did, and then another one right after that. Since my fiance passed in 2020, there's only been one time, which was at his service, that anybody held me and I was able to break down and cry. So it's been like over 5 years, and I still haven't had the opportunity to just like hug somebody and let it go. I've pretty much had to do it on my own, or I was in a hospital where Dad asked me why I was there after months. So that makes grieving difficult. I'm getting through it. Like I pray all the time that like I would never want what I've been through on anybody ever. And like not just that, but even before that, like I've been through so much. I recorded a video on it finally. I don't know if I'm actually ever gonna post that one. It's really personal and it's really sad. And it's really like, it's a little more than the tip of the iceberg. It's kind of just breaking the surface, I guess. There's a lot of detail that I left out. I'm trying to go through this process of just like healing. So I write and I do my videos in a journal and kind of keep to myself. I don't like to burden anybody. I've looked for bereavement groups, but you gotta have insurance for that or pay for it, so, it used to not be like that, but I can't find groups where you can just like walk in now for that. So that's kind of sad. Like I want to go out and meet people, but now like I'm on this whole spiritual path and it becomes difficult because you don't really know who to communicate with when you're going through that process. And I'm also very cautious who I mix my energy with because sadly like most of my life has either been that people that I trusted really screwed me over, they got called home to the heavens, or they just like went MIA on me. So it's pretty much like that's all I know. For now, hopefully, I stay hopeful, which is, I don't know how. Well, by the grace of God, really. The grace of a higher power. I feel like, too, that's a big part of why my visions and stuff started. And they talk about that in, like, spiritual texts and stuff, where people, like, they lose everything and they go through so much, and then something miraculous happens. And like the fact that I'm alive and breathing is a miracle in and of itself. I guess that's where my hope and my strength come from. And it's cool because now like I'm awake and I've healed like a tremendous part of self, which is good. I still got more to do. But it's like now like I got spiritual gifts coming online, and it was a little extreme in the beginning. Like at first it was a lot. Like my body will vibrate and buzz now, and my aura lights up. My halo, it's the same thing. People call it a ring around the head, and kind of, but it's really like energy expanding from the cranium. Feel it all over sometimes. It's the whole body, like confirmation. I want to sit in front of like one of those cameras that takes pictures of your aura and wait for it to happen and see what it looks like. I have a feeling you could see it. And it's cool because I was always told I was sensitive, and I'm like, oh, yes, I am. And I feel like that's what they speak of. Everyone's saying like earth angels and stuff. And I feel like when you get to the point where you start healing and you really do the inner work, these gifts start coming online. And it makes you realize like, oh, it's for real. Like there are angels on earth right now. And I feel there's many that are waking up. And like when it first kind of happened to me, and I had this experience where I was able to see, I call it the domino effect. I was able to see all of the things that happened in my life and why they happened and how it was all interconnected, and it was a really cool experience. And it happened a couple times, just little things that happened in my life, and it was just this like, it was like another form of a vision, kind of a little different than the other visions that I had, where I was going like interdimensionally, I guess. Because these ones, like when the whole like quote-unquote domino effect happened, where I was able to like see all these pieces just come together and why they all happened and why it was necessary and what it was creating in my soul, like character in my soul, and what it was all for. I was very present in like the 3D physical space, whereas like when I was having visions, I was like ascending to other dimensions, I guess, because I would be like in my 3D physical, and then all of a sudden I was not. I was completely somewhere different. But when I had this like whole domino effect of seeing everything come together and like why the things in my life had happened, I was still very much in like and it was just like the third eye was able to, it was a really cool experience. It was neat. But then like after those events kind of happened, those experiences, I had to sit like this whole last year. It's when I was pulled into meditation for like a whole year, trying to really understand. And there was like I recognize there's things that you'll read like when people say they quote unquote met God and they felt like destroyed afterwards. Like I get why, because it's almost like you have this experience where you're able to put all these pieces together, and like it happened just with like my own life, but also like I was able to feel the weight from generations. I feel like all the way back to the beginning, and it hit like a ton of bricks like all at once. And I had this it was just a weight. There's like a sadness to it, right? But you look back at our species history and you can kind of see it. It just, nobody ever talks about the pain. But like when I went this whole awakening, it was like I was made to feel it. And it just, and then you see through all the illusions too, you know? All of a sudden, like, you're just awake and you can see through all the games and the deceit and the manipulation and the lies and the way this entire system is set up. And then it's like, not only do you feel like this weight and like this burden like for your own self and soul, because it feels like the darkness is winning, but then you also feel this weight because you're praying for them. Like, why can't you guys wake up and see what you're doing to yourselves? Because it's always the ones that are so trapped in their temporary existence that they forget about the eternal journey of the soul, which many of us do. It's what it means to be sleeping when we're here and we incarnate. And I was also presented with, like, I don't know how to explain it to where anybody would ever be able to really understand, like, what I mean, other than, like, I saw the perspective of, like, the eternal soul, and it was brief, a few seconds maybe, and something I'll never forget. I found gratitude in the fact that we incarnate and that we go through a little bit of that forgetting, and I feel like maybe we've forgotten a little too much when we're incarnating, because truth be told, like, in a physical sense, like, it looks like we're ascending because we're doing big things in our evolution, but spiritually we've been on a decline for so long. Most don't even know what's happening. You know, when you wake up to that, and it's been a lot. I don't know. When I first, like, started having the vision, at first the visions were scary, and then they stopped for like a year, and they started up again. I had many. And, like, I was so excited when they started up again because they were beautiful when they started up again. They were really beautiful. And then it was like all of a sudden, I don't know, I was given that perspective of, like, the eternal soul. And I think potentially that happened because I was grieving so deeply that something was, like, trying to step in. Like, one, those energies, they don't go anywhere. Spirit is ever present. And two, like, because I was holding on to the grief so much, like, I still am. And, like, I know they're good. I can feel their energy every now and then, which is really cool. And I feel like that's a gift. But I miss them. And I started, like, really disconnecting after that. Like, I've always kind of kept to myself. Never been one to be, like, really out there with, like, big groups of people or having to, like, show out. That was never my thing. And then like, after my best friends started to pass, that was when I I really disconnected, you know, and that's what started, like, my whole decade of solitude. Basically, I put my head down and I just worked. And it was like 3 years of just extreme isolation where things got, that started in, like, 2022. Maybe a little bit before that. I didn't socialize at all. I wouldn't, didn't do much. But, like, I'm in this place now where, like, I feel antsy and I want to go out and I want to do things and I know what I want to do. You know, like, I ride my motorcycle and I got my scuba diving license and I like to snowboard and I love to camp and I love four-wheelers and dirt bikes and I want to go out and do all that stuff because that stuff's fun. It just, I don't know people that do that stuff, so it's like I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm the kind of person too, like, usually, like, I travel by myself. Take a lot of vacations by myself. I used to anyway, and then life happened. So I lost that opportunity. I didn't lose it. I had to course correct because I had a business and I was really good at it, but it wasn't nourishing to my soul. Like, I was making a ton of money, but that was all I was doing. And I'm still grieving deeply, so it's literally all I was doing. I was making money and buying things, but internally I was so empty. And it's like now, like, I'm hurting and I cry a lot, but I'm healing. I'm allowing myself to go through it and to face it. And I haven't been doing very much. I sleep a lot. I lay down, I rest a lot, and I know I need to get up and get going again. But I also know that I'm allowing myself the grace to go through it, finally. And that was something I couldn't do before. Like, I kept myself so distracted by anything and everything else to just not sit with the pain. So it's like, then I went into like isolation for a while, not being very good to myself initially, because then I kind of stopped working. So I found other ways to just kind of numb myself out, so to speak. And then it was like something stepped in and was like, no more. And I was just pulled into meditation where, like, I didn't even have to make myself. That's all I wanted to do. Which is, like, weird because, you know, for me, even, like, I tried for years to meditate and I could get, like, I think there was only one time, maybe in, like, I don't know, 2015 or so, where I sat in, it was probably before that, I sat in meditation and I thought it was like 20 minutes and it turned out to be like 2 hours. And I had like this whole like out of body experience, and that was the only time. And then all of a sudden I was just pulled into meditation, but that's all I could do for hours upon hours a day for like the whole year. And I focused a lot on my chakras and sending cells to a certain part of my body that I was feeling pain. And I'd focus on my mind and challenge my thoughts. I would sit and pay attention to the thoughts that kind of come and go. And it's been an interesting experience. Like, I'm coming out of the other side of it now. I still have more healing I need to do, and I recognize that. And it's like there's part of me like I want to go in and get some help with it. I tried that so many times. And it's like I'm trusting that a higher power is helping. I channeled a message about it too. This was in April of last year, that this was going to happen, and that they were going to change, Spirit was going to change my mindset, and that I needed to be prepared because it was not an easy process. I have to open it up and read it. And that's what happened. A few months later, I kind of started having these experiences, and then I was pulled into meditation for a whole year. I think it's really amazing, and it's like I realized that it's not a very common thing to happen to somebody, you know. It also makes me a little nervous. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know it's a good thing. I feel like this is the kind of stuff that you read about, and I feel like that's the part that makes me nervous. And it's like I feel weird even saying that, but I don't know what else to equate it to. Like, I feel like somebody that was just in such a bad place that was pulled into like my own little metaphorical cave. Confirmation. And technically that's a good thing, you know? Like, I write now, and I see the way I write, and I see the way I speak. And I'm really grateful for the experience. Yeah, that we're in. Like, I had to start researching a lot of things, and so that was like another weight that I started to feel, felt heavy. That's the other thing too, is when you kind of go through an awakening, you have like a lot of these experiences or understandings that like your soul can comprehend, like you can feel, but it becomes really difficult on how to explain it with the logical mind. So it's like, I want to go sit and talk to somebody, I just have very little patience to be told I'm cray cray. But then you also look back at our history, and anytime somebody was like pulled in to like meditation out in the desert or in a forest or up on a mountaintop or in a cave, that's typically what they said about all those people until they were like done with the work that they were doing. And then so I'm trying to be like patient with myself and compassionate with myself, and just be like, you gotta get through this on your own. So that way, like, it would have been easy to go out, I guess, and be like, tell me what's going on with me. And then to just be convinced more that, something's wrong with me, or heel spills, or... Yeah, the first when it was happening, I did sound a little cray-cray. Because I didn't know how to explain the experiences. All I could really say was, like, I was having visions, and I was questioning things, and now that I've gotten through, like, a large portion of it, like, I'm mindful of how I speak now. And I don't want to keep talking about, like, the pain and stuff I've been through, because I don't want to keep instilling that frequency in my field. But I also recognize it's important, because I feel like I went through all of the things that I went through in my life, specifically because my soul was strong enough to handle those things and make it through it, so I could turn around and assist other people that are going through that and be like, there is an alternative path to healing. And it's like, for most of my life I was told that I always knew I was a black sheep, but then it was like, I woke up and I'm like, well, thank the heavens for that. Because truth is, it's a blessing. Like, I bring a very different perspective to things than the perspective I have. You can't get in a fucking book. And I say that respectfully, excuse the language, and forgive me, like, I woke up very quickly. I find myself saying that a lot now. I could benefit from talking to somebody, but it would have to be that. See, that's the hard part, is that I don't have it in me to go into somebody that's just running the clock. There's many people in today's society that are suffering so deeply, and it becomes a little ridiculous almost to go into places that are either milking your insurance money, or they got you on the clock and they don't actually care what you're saying. It's just like a programmed response to be like, okay, how does it make you feel? Okay. Like, I've seen it so many times, and it just became, and that's not everybody, please understand. Like, I get that there's some out there, it's just few and far between to find doctors that actually care that much. think I've had like one my whole life. Like all 40 years, there's been like one, maybe. And I get it too, like not an easy job, you know, you sit and you listen to people's problems all day. I feel like too that's the blessing that's, and I hope society can realize it. I think many do, of what the black sheep does for society, is that we bring in a different perspective, and where a therapist can have sympathy for a patient, the peer specialist, quote unquote, type that has a life experience. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Hi, butterfly. I'm emotional right now. But where like a therapist can have, I think it's empathy. I don't know. I'm in a place right now. I just bring both of those aspects together to truly help people to heal. And that kind of takes care of like the mind and the spirit that people can embody. And then I feel like bringing shamans in, that adds to it, because they can travel other worlds and be able to do soul retrieval. And that's the trifecta right there. Fix everything. Yeah, and again, not because society was wrong, I just, we weren't awake yet. We forgot these things. I like to use the documentary Shock and Awe a lot. I was like, that's kind of like what opened up my eyes. It was a really great documentary. And most people don't even realize how your soul fragments. And it's not just from those that have seen things or have been through things, but also those that can cause pain on other people. They don't realize that they too are also giving away parts of their soul also, which is like why, you know, people like Jesus and many other mystics throughout all of our history, that's that whole "for they know not what they do" thing. And truth be told, when you're actually causing pain, you're giving away more of yourself than the person that has things done to them. It's an exchange of energy, and not everybody realizes that yet. Part of what it means to be asleep in the matrix. And you can tell yourself all you want. And I'm going through it with somebody in my life where like I recognize like I want to sit and I want to have conversations about the things that I've been through and where some pain was caused. And anytime I try it, the person gets really angry with me. But I see through that illusion, he only gets angry because he's hurting inside, and he feels like it emasculates him by admitting that this hurts. So instead of saying that this hurts and I'm not ready to speak about it, or I'm uncomfortable, he'll yell and he'll get mad, and he'll project his suffering onto me, which I used to internalize. I used to be like, oh, something's wrong with me. Now I see through it, and instead that's why I pray for him. Like, I feel bad. Like, why can't you just see that you're hurting? You know? That's hard for some people to admit. It's easier to say, oh, I'm tough. And it's like, not when you're acting like an asshole. On the contrary, it makes you look weak. It takes more strength and more courage to actually show true, genuine emotion than it does to hurt. And that's like, you wake up to that too, and you're like, oh, well, at least now I see. And I've learned to stop absorbing those things from other people, because I've experienced it my whole life, where people, and I'm like, yeah. Because I didn't have a problem showing my pain. Like, I could wear my pain, my heart on my sleeve for anybody. I always did. but because of that, other energies who were not able to be like that, it was like that's that mirror effect where my light would threaten their ego or their energy or their inability to know themselves. That's where forgiveness is important and where that comes in, right? Like, I get that it's why it's important to forgive, not for the other person, but for yourself. Because there's some that just can't see that. They don't have the emotional capacity to sit and understand that their anger stems from something deeper that they may not know how to articulate. So, yeah. And that's that illusion of trying to make people fearful. When you react with anger and then when you see through it and be like, you're not angry, you're sad. Why can't you see that? It's because that's hard to see for some people. And I'm just speaking of the person that's in my life that I feel we're just like two opposite ends of the spectrum. And it's not even that that person's a quote-unquote dark person. They're just unable to sit to know thyself. And like, I recognize being somebody that has absorbed a lot of trauma and pain and how difficult it is for me to heal, at least I'm able to sit to know thyself and go through it. I feel like it must be so much more difficult for somebody that causes that kind of stuff to actually sit and know themselves truly and challenge their thoughts. And so instead they just act on impulse instead of sitting long enough to understand who and what they are and why they do the things that they do. And then society just contributes to it by demonizing everything and saying, oh, this is something's wrong with you, and instead of giving outlets prior to people becoming dangerous or and saying, well, maybe you're more in your animalistic nature, or maybe this is wounding that goes back generations or past lives or back to, and I feel like we're in a place in our history right now as a species where this is stuff that we're starting to wake up through. Like, I feel like the mental health industry at least is attempting to start to acknowledge things like past lives and the way that people can carry those energies into their current incarnation. And if it's not past lives, you can call it through bloodlines, through generations, whatever makes people more comfortable. But it's something to acknowledge. I don't know. I have days where I can channel pretty clearly. I realize I still have to get through my healing journey to get stronger in that. And I also, I can tell when I'm sleeping. And I'd like to sit with somebody. It's not even sleeping. Like, I'll lay down for 20-30 minutes and I'm having these experiences and I wake up and I can't recall them. And then I realize the point in time in our history that we're in, so it feels important to me. And it's like, I want to find the right people to go in and sit with and be like, I think I might be, I don't know, prophesizing or tapping into the Akashic field, or who knows, the conscious field. And just in case, because every now and then I wake up and I can tell the energies I'm feeling. It just, I don't know. Then I also don't want to speak silly things into existence because you realize words have frequency. And we spent so long, many people, speaking, I like to say it's the end of an era, but that's not what people said for a long time. And when you understand how words matter and carry frequency, and so do thoughts, you're like, that's also when you start realizing everybody's sleeping. And how important this stuff is. I find myself it makes me then think about like the Library of Alexandria, and like I want to know what was lost back then. Like, did they know these things? It's like you pray that and hope, like I freaking hope not. Not with this silly stuff everybody starts saying. But it's meant to be just the end of an era, And like trying to understand like what was happening to me, because of the fact I started to have visions and I started to have the experiences when I was sleeping, and like there's times where like I can feel wide awake and then all of a sudden feel like I gotta lay down and sleep for a minute, and I'll lay down for 20-30 minutes and have these experiences, and I'll come back with like a little bit of information. When it first started to happen, I was speaking out loud when this would happen. I don't think I do that anymore, but I was. I don't know, it's been a lot. I've been having a lot of weird, strange experiences, and I'm just trying to make sense of. And then I realize and recognize too that when something like that happens, they may feel like burdens initially, but truly they're gifts meant for humanity and to guide and to advise. And I want to get stronger in this process on how to manage the experiences. So I document, I read, and I write, and I do my videos now. And I don't really mix my energy with other people. I'm really sensitive to that. I always kind of was. Like there's some people I could be around and it had a big effect on me. So I just sit with myself. Talk to the Most High. Go Spirit. It's all interconnected. It's been intense. It's been intense. It was like I couldn't do these things, and then all of a sudden I could. It was just, I just woke up one day. I was like, uh-oh. But then it's like I like to say, well, that's because I'm an earth angel. And I'm just waking up to my spiritual gifts again. So I can help guide humanity. And I feel like this is what happens every few thousand years. Maybe every 1,000, Yeah, that's the way it's focused that way. We go through big awakenings, next step in the species evolution, little earth angels, light beings, we come down here, reincarnate, we're probably up there like, oh, I don't do this. And then, but we do, because it's what we do. And we kind of get put under for a little bit. Forget who and what we really are. Which are light beings. A little bit of temporary to then help, the younger souls that, just, and all I think that means is like less incarnations, I think there's some of us that have gone through maybe more and have gone through this ascension process and become, ascended masters maybe in another life, and then we choose to come back down here again at big points in the species evolution where we're like, okay, this is gonna have to be guided. And I feel like that's why people right now all over the world, all different race, creeds, religions, and cultures, because the creator of all things created all things, so it includes everybody, are going through this process where they're being pulled to sit in the solitude and remember that that's what they are. And it's difficult because then you kind of have to question all the beliefs that you were brought up with and raised with, and really challenge all of those things and put your experiences together to let you kind of know who you are on a soul level. What energies are you capable of carrying that can, and then you look and research into all different things, and it's who am I? And I feel like there's some of us going through this remembrance right now, and then to turn around and assist others, and then you just gotta be you get mindful. Not everybody's on the same soul journey, but it's finding the right people, know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and who to say it to. And that's where spiritual discernment comes in, asking truth and comfort, and then having the discernment to really say, because everybody says truth until until you say it, and then they're like, oh, So, spiritual discernment, be the person being honest with themselves. So that's where I'm at. Just gonna keep recording and rambling and getting this stuff out and documenting it, because I feel like it's important. One of these days, these things will be important. I keep saying that about my vision board. I've tried showing it to a couple people that look at it and they're like, oh, I get it. I look forward to the day I get to show it to somebody and be like, look at this. And I'd be like, OMG. But so far, I haven't happened yet. And I'll look at it sometimes and I realize I'm you'd have to be outside of your box a little bit to look at it and be like, wow. And it's just things of healing and connecting chakras and poles, and how to expand the mind, and to reconnect to source directly, and how to truly clear your energy, and to heal, and to ground, and to detox properly, and it's really beautiful, but if you haven't looked into those things and you're just used to somebody telling you that this is the way it is, and being I feel like that's Nostradamus had a prediction about people being in a daze. I feel like that's what he meant. As you wake up and you start looking at it and you're like, I'm sleeping. And then I gotta be, compassionate about that. That's why compassion's important, because I realize, you were sleeping for 38 years of your life too. Maybe it was 39. And you start waking up and now it's I sleep a lot. I'm like, this is weird. You would think you wake up and I had a lot of energy at first, but then it was I don't know, it was really exciting because I could tell something was stepping in to assist me. I couldn't really see, but then also you wake up and you're you've been able to see it the whole time because it's in everything. And people say that, and it's I wonder if they actually know what it means. And I started to experience, to feel it. I wasn't just saying it, repeating it because that's what everybody said. You start to be able to feel the connection in all things. And it's really beautiful. And I feel like that's that spiritual inheritance that some people miss the point of why there's some of us that choose to chase that instead. Because when you're living from the heart space, there's this beauty that you get to see and to feel and to experience that I feel so many people miss out on. People will say things because it's just a broken record, repetitive. That's what you say, and I think I get it, and I understand the words, but can you comprehend the meaning? Can you feel it? And I feel like that's the other part. They always speak of the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Do you have the heart to feel it. And that's when you start to have that connection with everything, you really start to understand what the interconnectedness of all things means. So that's where I'm at. It's quite the journey. More to go. Still in a process. I feel like I'm standing at like the opening of the cave and I keep like looking out into the sunlight. I'm like, this looks good, but it hurts. I kind of feel like I step back in. That's what it feels like. I have days that are easier than others, you know, but I realize like I still have more of my shadow work to do. Get through that process of just trying to release the pain, let go of that stuff, you know. It's so heavy. Like I have no words to explain. Hi, bird. I love baby bird. I feel like that's why healing became so vital for me. And again, not because doctors and stuff were wrong. I just don't think we were at that point in awakening our evolution yet where we really kind of put that together. I could take medication and numb myself out or suppress everything, but what I was feeling, it was in my heart. You know, and you can't, I mean, I guess you can kind of take the edge off, but it wasn't healing anything. It wasn't that weight, that heaviness that I was feeling. It was still there. It didn't matter what I did or what I took or how much I distracted myself. It was this, I still feel it every now and then, not like I did, you know, but that's because I finally started to go through it. And for the first couple months of it, it was brutal. You know, but it's been crucial to me actually like healing properly. I'm very proud of myself for it. That's a good song. Sounds like some Carlos Santana. It's gotta be my stepdad. Anyway, okie dokie. I'm gonna take a break. I feel a little bit better. And chit chat some more later. Who knows?